Hold that thought. We are officially being recorded. Now we're going to go live to Facebook. Facebook, where are you, Facebook? See, I've been singing nonstop ever since our playful experience with Erin yesterday. Community currency group, go live. Awesome sauce. We are officially back for the last presentation of the day. I'm grateful to say that I learned so much, both from Kellie and from my husband. Who knew? Who knew he knew stuff? I did. Yeah, wow. It's so much knowledge. And you know what? It's kind of a testament to how little we realize that we know and how little we realize that we are, that we know things that other people don't know. So he mentioned that he's always a student and he's always a teacher. And that's absolutely true. That's 100% true. My supplies are all sitting here, but you know, the cat is tiptoeing around them and somehow managing to make it work. So hello, Jamie Allen Bishop, Soul Heart Entertainment, Soul Heart Collaboration. We're here for the final presentation on day 2 of our 3-day retreat. This is community currency. I am just about to present on Feng Shui, your vision board, so that you can create superb magic in your life and bring those things off the paper onto, I don't know, into reality. Do you want to come over here? Are you're going to introduce me? You just introduce yourself. I'm not going to introduce myself. Well, I mean, that's enough for me. Is it enough for you guys? I don't care. One way or another. Most everybody here knows me. So
I'm the cat removal.
But you know what? There are people that don't know me. So Hun, why don't you jump on and tell them a little bit about, I don't know, your version of who the heck I am and why my opinion matters. I don't know. Oh my God. You would fail without me, love.
Yes. Well, why is your face still big? I don't see myself. Yes, I do. How am I good? Is everybody, you see my forehead? Well, yeah, that's because the camera is on the wrong side of the computer. Want to know who thought this was a good idea? So, welcome back. Hope you all had a wonderful lunch. I have been asked by my beautiful wife to introduce her as she begins her session on creating vision boards. She has been creating vision boards as long as I've known her, and I've known her since we were 8. Walked her home in 3rd grade. It's a great story. And then she disappeared the next day. But that's another 2-hour session. Jamie is one of the most passionate people I've ever known. And this is what she loves. She's been creating vision boards for years and years and years. She's even talked me into creating a couple of them. And that's hard to do because I had never heard of vision boards before I met her. But it is an outstanding exercise. It tells you a lot about who you are. And it's very therapeutic. I highly recommend it if you've never done it. And here to show you how and tell you all about the process is the expert herself, my lovely, charming, beautiful, talented, and very loving wife, Jamie Allen Bishop.
Oh, that was so sweet. Thank you, honey. Okay, so I am so excited to share this with you today because it's one thing to create a vision board. It's another thing to create a Feng Shui vision board. If you don't know what Feng Shui is, don't worry about it. We'll go over what that is. If you don't even know what a vision board, that's okay too. We will talk about what a vision board is and what a vision board is not. We'll talk about a variety of vision boards. We'll talk about soul collage. So if you don't know what that is, stay tuned. Super, super excited to share this with you guys. So Susie, I've created 2 years in a row, and Feng Shui, thanks to Jamie. So interesting, Susie, when you look back, I know, when did you create that one last January, or was it more recent than that? I think it was more recent than that. Anyway, what's really fascinating to me is that when I look at the vision boards, you know, when you create a vision board, you are tapping into that intuitive piece of who you are to add images that you can see and interact with hopefully on a daily basis. Hopefully you don't put your vision boards away, because seeing them is part of the magic of creating one. Created on January 1st of last year. Yeah. Okay. And then she created one this year too. Awesome. So when you look back at last year's, can you circle at least a dozen things off of that vision board that came to fruition in your life? Chances are pretty high that the answer to that question is yes. May not be exactly 12, but anyway, I'll start not a dozen. I was lazy last year. You're funny. All right, so let me grab my presentation out here, see if we can share that. We're gonna do our slideshow, if it will let me. And we're gonna do that from the beginning. So cool. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you, whether you're in the Zoom room, whether you're live on Facebook. I'm going to take the next 2 hours to show you how to, and to, if you so choose, start to create your vision board. I will say this, if you're doing a full size one, like the one that's behind me, you can see how big Bagheera is compared to it. Bagheera is a fairly large cat and she's small. That's a 24 by, hold that thought, 30-inch frame. So, but I like framing mine because, and I didn't even get this in the presentation, I like framing them because it makes it a piece of art for me, right? It's colorful, it's beautiful, it's lovely to look at. And as I look at it more and more and more, I tap into the energy that it provides me. So let's get started. Feng Shui your vision board, creating magical success. I am Jamie Allen Bishop. For those who don't know me, I'm founder and co-founder of 3 international businesses. I'm a coach. I create coordinate, there's the word, entertainment for private parties and events. And then, as you know, through this retreat, I do put together retreats. I produce them with my co-founder and our fabulous colleague, Cheryl. Here is what we're going to learn today. What is a vision board? What is Feng Shui? Why is creating a vision board important from my perspective? And then what does Feng Shui have? What does a Feng Shui vision board have to do with community currency? Okay, I always start my presentations with a couple of things, 3 announcements that are just things to maybe make note of. If you are interested in participating in a networking group for free, if you're trying to grow your business, if you're trying to collaborate with other business owners, if you're trying to get information that is powerful and like sometimes mind-blowing, even I've been in business for over 16 years, it blows me away some of the conversations that we have. So it's wonderful to be in a community working with similar people, entrepreneurs, and we all know, we all have a different set of tools, as Jean was talking about. We all have a different set of knowledge. So it's really exciting to engage in this networking group. Join us on Wednesdays. There's 2 sessions, one at 9 o'clock Eastern a.m. and one at noon Eastern. And so there. And then this year, I just added group coaching to my genre to help people who are maybe not quite as financially endowed as those who work with me one-on-one. So check that out. Go to the website, look at what the group options are. And then I want you to save the date. If you guys are enjoying this retreat, definitely save the dates because you will not want to miss the next one. We are going to do only 2 days so that you have a day of recovery. I'm sort of grateful this one landed on President's Day weekend here in America because most of us in America who have 9-to-5 jobs are off on Monday. So, you know, as you could tell from the energy from yesterday, it takes a minute to assimilate some of this really profound information. That's why we call it a retreat, because we're really retreating from what we always do to going inside ourselves, to discovering what we can maybe do a little bit better and how we can show up a little bit more authentically, how we can be a little bit more integral in the world around us. And boy, does it create magic, you guys. So synchronistic success, synchronicity is one of my favorite songs, but synchronistic success is what we've named it. It's all about the, you know, trusting your intuition and following that even when it doesn't make sense. And you guys, seriously, I cannot wait to announce who the speakers are for that. You're going to be so excited. I'm so excited for you. Okay, so if you haven't already, take a moment to gather some supplies. You're going to want your poster board. And by the way, when I say poster board, it can literally be an 8.5 by 11 paper. It does not have to be a huge, enormous size. The size only helps with the size of the images that you're choosing to use, okay? So for example, this little book here called Soul Collage by this woman, Sina B. Frost. She talks about how you create your own, essentially, card pack. It's almost like your own personal tarot deck or your own personal oracle deck, if you will, where you use a card pack and the cards look like, they look like these, right? So they're very reasonably sized. I think it's half of an 8.5 by 11. So what does that equate to? Like 4.5 by 5? Anyway, I don't even know. I'm so bad at math. On the fly anyway. I can do it on paper, but on the fly, it's a little harder for me. But so what you do is you create, you have a theme to work with, and you create these individual pieces where, like, this is my tranquility one, okay? I'm going to show you some of the things that Jean has done because I think that they're so incredible. Hopefully that won't be too, here, let me, they're all in here. Here's my favorite of his. It's his yin and yang card. So it's the dark and the light. It's the fiery colors and the cooler colors. It just, I love it. I love how it turned out. But these can be used in a way, and the idea behind Soul Collage is that you use these cards, and as you look at them, you say, I am, and then you look at the pictures and you see, I am peaceful, I am tranquil, I am nature, I am, and you just kind of let your eye float around, and you do it as quickly as possible so that you basically stop using the left side of your brain and you start using the right side of your brain to dig up some of the challenges, some of the deep-seated belief systems that may not be serving us anymore. So that's a little bit about Soul Collage, and you'll understand why it's important in a second. I learned about Soul Collage through an Arizona teacher and mentor who I have known for, gosh, almost 20 years now, Kathy Shimpock. And if you don't know Kathy Shimpock, take a look at who she is and how she shows up in the world. She's a pretty darn amazing lady. But get your supplies together and let's move on. All right. Feng Shui, your vision board. Let's start with definitions. So what is a vision board? A vision board is a board, or it could be a card. It could be an 8.5 by 11 paper. It doesn't have to be anything in particular. Today, I'm going to show you with poster board because that's how I create mine. Because when I create them as a work of art so that I can hang it on my wall and look at it all the time, as often as possible. So it's a board with your goals, aspirations, and visions. Okay, those are very specific words and they're on purpose. And I'm going to tell you why. A vision board is most effective for most people when it's images only. I know that we as humans are attracted to text and we're attracted to that left-brained side of who we are and how we show up and how we communicate things and, you know, words of the year and themes that we go on. And trust me, you guys, I hope most of you know me well enough to know that I am all about the left brain stuff. But when it comes to vision boards, the thing about the left brain stuff is you want to leave it behind because of what's, and I'm getting my little confirmation goosebumps, because of what, I think it was Sunny, it might have even been Kaspars, or maybe Erin. I mean, all of them could have said this. So because of something called your intuitive guidance, and you don't want to define what it looks like. You just want to ask for it. You don't want to tell the universe how you want to receive it because you want to be open to receiving it in whatever way the universe will send it to you, right? So words have a tendency to get us into that left brain state of mind and more logical and therefore more specific about how. And we need to get out of our own way around the how, okay? So for example, when you look at these different versions, which one does your brain imagine and feel the goals in? Right? You know, I know we're attracted to the one with all the words, but when I stop looking at the word, but I can't even see the images for all those words that are out there, right? Plus, some of those words are the reverse of what you actually want to be doing. You don't ever want to have the word debt on your vision board. Even if you want to be in zero debt or get out of debt, you do not want the word debt on your vision board or you will attract debt to you. I'm not kidding you either. But yeah, so the images are far more powerful. And here's part of the reason why. 65% of humans are visual learners. And guess what? We process 60,000 times faster with images than we do with text. So when you think about that in an energetic way or in a vibrational way, you're talking about 60 times faster. So if you want to attract the things that are your aspirations, your goals, and your imaginations, or whatever those words were that I said in the earlier slide, I can't even remember them. Did I pass it already? I think I did. There it is, goals, aspirations, and visions. There's the word I couldn't remember. It's really, really important to have your left brain take a back seat to that, okay? Incidentally, this is also true in social media, right? That's why this video thing is going so crazy. And because we have such short attention spans, and we always have, by the way, social media has not created the short attention span. It's just our society at large, and with all the people that we're dealing with on this earth, it speeds up the energy that's happening. And it speeds up the excitement and the level of, you know, anxiety, quite literally, around getting things done and doing your to-do list and tackling your daily chores and, you know, meeting the expectations of jobs, et cetera, paying bills, blah, blah, blah. So I'm showing you, this one is actually the background image for all the slides in the entire presentation. It's the one that's the most recent for my vision board experience. So I'm going to see if I can I use, let me see the chat really quick, sorry. Sunny said it, yeah, thank you. Thank you for the reminder. Fighter jumps is something I don't want in my life. Exactly, right? Fighter, debt. There were some words that were like, I get it. I get why they're on there, because there are times in our lives where but those are not the words that we want to be focusing on. Those are, anyway, so try really hard to stick with images only. Now, you know, I say that, and then I look up here and I see, you know, the $1 bill is up here, the $20 bill is up there, the, you know, the text on these little stogies, right? So it's not that you have to not have any, but you definitely want to try to limit the amount of text, because you want that left brain to shut down. You want it to get the fuck out of our way, right? Get out of the way, left brain. We want that creative brain to come to the forefront. So yeah, so I was gonna try to get the draw. Here we go. Maybe it will let me draw. Maybe. I don't know. Hold that thought. All right, first of all, this I have. What else? Well, I almost exceeded my financial goals. Haven't been lifting weights. That's all right. I definitely eat more fruits and vegetables than I did before. We have these in our world now, these little, the rubber band, can't remember what they're called. I have like 3 of these. I'm not kidding you. I love them. Absolutely love them. Amaryllis. I didn't even know what they were before. I just liked that kind of flower. I was like, oh, that's a pretty flower. I want some of those in my world. I now have 3. They were gifted to me. These are not things that I went out and bought. I've definitely read more. I mean, it's not the exact same microphone, but this is like the coolest freaking thing ever. I'm so excited to have a microphone finally. Okay, I've danced more, without a doubt. In fact, I created a group that was a Dancing with Jamie group this year. I don't know why, I'm just kind of a weird girl that way. I absolutely love cigars and the smell of cigars. So I've indulged in a cigar or 2 this year. Let's see, I've done speaking engagements, which is what this one was kind of about like showing up. I have not taken a cruise. That's definitely going to be on this year's vision board. I want to point out, well, I think that you guys saw my flowers before, right? Flowers. My husband and I definitely have lovely romantic time together, which is really nice. We have seen like 3 or 4 shows this year, which I didn't even think that we were going to be able to see, because I didn't know what was going to be open, what was going to be available, but it's been really exciting. I love seeing shows. Super important to me. We have not been to Catalina yet, but I definitely want to get that out. I had a photo shoot done of myself. We definitely spent a lot of time, you know, playing family games and getting together and gathering. We've spent time at a beach house that had a backyard that, I kid you not, looks almost exactly like that backyard right there. So many things on this vision board, and there's probably more that I'm not even completely gathering up. And, you know, I figured I'd put God himself right in the middle. Because he always, right? I mean, seriously, like, is he the coolest dude on the planet or what? Anyway, I wanted to share that with you because it's a big deal to me to show you what has manifested out of the creation of this vision board. I created it in December of 2020. It's now like February of 2022. So a little bit over a year ago. And there are so many things on that have come to fruition for me. that I did not pursue, I did not try, I did not save money, I did not plan. These things just showed up in my life for the most part. I would say the only thing out of all of those things that I definitely had on my vision board that came to me that I planned was the microphone. That's about the only thing that I really actually asked for, and I wanted a specific one, and this is the thing that I want. So that was the only one that I really had any, demand in what that looked like, right? Anyhow, all right, let's see if I can move on because I'm struggling to move on with this. Let me see if we get the triggers, because I feel like my brain can't even focus on all those images. Okay, that's a really good point. And I like that you mentioned that, and I can't even see who mentioned that, but I can, hold on, let me see if it will let me. Erin, I wonder if it has to do with, oh no, that was Jean's conversation. I'm trying, you guys, sorry. Cheryl, do you want to jump on here and help me with the comments, because it's kind of giving me trouble.
Absolutely, I got you. Erin had shared that you read her comment. That's the only one that you've really missed. Everybody was curious about why Morgan Freeman is there, and you already answered that, so you're all good.
Hold on. Hold that thought. I can hear you. It's just I have my volume turned down because my husband was on his computer and I didn't want that feedback.
Oh, I got you.
So say that again.
I said the only thing that you already grabbed onto what you needed to grab onto, which was Erin's comment about the all the pictures being distracting. We were wondering why Morgan Freeman was there, and you answered it, so it's all good.
So I'll get to why they're in the places that they're in, because that's the Feng Shui part of this whole thing. But there's your answer, Katja. Yeah, it's Morgan Freeman definitely I mean, how many times has he played God in movies? Seriously. And he shows up even as a person on the face of this planet, the way that I want all people to show up. It's all fair. It's all genuine. It's all, I love you and care about you, but here are my boundaries. It's he just like he embodies all the things that I want to be, so, and I try really hard to what am I trying to say? I try really hard to surround myself with people like that. So where were we in this little presentation that I had going here? We were all the way here. So Bagheera, love, what do you want? So slideshow, resume slideshow. Yes, there we go. Okay. What, baby? All right. So anyway, so now you see at least some of the things that I can point out that I have manifested just from creating this vision board in just over a year. So next, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Feng Shui. So Feng Shui is a system of spatial arrangement thought, typically by Chinese philosophers, to be connected to the flow of energy, what is known in the Chinese world as Qi. Okay, so you maybe have heard people in the metaphysical industry, this cat, I swear to God, talk about Qi, and that's what it is. Qi is the flow of energy. And it's almost always in Chinese experiences in an infinity symbol. Okay, it ebbs and flows. It always comes back to you, which is why they very much believe in karma. So I totally buy into that philosophy. So here's what we're going to do, or here's what where Feng Shui comes into the idea behind this vision board. Okay. The Bagua map is extremely important to the idea of Feng Shui. There are all kinds of different Bagua maps, but this is the one that works the best for my home, in fact, and my vision board. the way that I set up my home, and you can look this up on Google, is that the door is in a specific place and the corners of the room from that door look like this. So almost always we enter from that travel side of the home. And if you have your things arranged in this way in your home from the front door, it's amazing how much more easy that energy flows, ebbs and flows to and from, right? So exciting. Love this stuff. So we're talking wealth and prosperity has a tendency to show up as blue, purple, or red. Fame and reputation has a tendency to show up as red. Love and relationships have a tendency to show up as red, pink, or white. Health and family has a tendency to show up blue and green. Balance and harmony has a tendency to show up yellow or gold, orange and brown. Creativity and children is white and pastels. Knowledge and self-cultivation is black, blue, and green. Career is black, burgundy, and navy. And then helpful people and travel are white, gray, and black. Oh, I also wanted to point out that I'm huge into elements. So the elements also show up in this Bagua map. So you'll often walk into like a nail salon and you'll see that they have a little altar set up. That altar is set up in a very specific, precise location from the front door. Almost always, it's going to be either in the wealth and prosperity section of the facility, the career section of the facility, or the balance and harmony section of the facility. If it's in the balance and harmony section of the facility, they're having trouble with the girls or the people that work there getting along. Just a little side note. Anyway, elements are fire, which is the top or north side of the map. The metals are the right or east side of the map. Water is the bottom or south side of the map. And the wood is the left or the west side of the map. That also can be important. So for example, if you have, or like I have a west facing door to my house, the door to my house, I would want it to start on the knowledge and self-cultivation side of the map, okay? So in other words, I would sort of flip it and turn it to that direction so that the knowledge and self-culture is the first thing that you enter into. The health and family is a little bit to the left, and then the wealth and prosperity is further to the left. Does that make sense? Is everybody following that? Can you visualize that in your head? Is it having trouble? I don't want to annotate anymore because it wouldn't let me move past the slide, but can you see my cursor or no?
No, your cursor cannot be seen, but when you were drawing, we could see those circles.
Okay. The helpful people and travel. Okay, can you guys all see that? Directly below.
My apologies, we can see your cursor. I can see it now. It's just really tiny.
It's okay, no problem. Thank you for letting me know. The helpful people and travel is white, gray, or black. Underneath the word gray would be your front door. Just pretend with me, okay? That would be where you enter the house. Helpful people and travel. This is just an example. If you had a north facing, if your front door entered into your house north facing, this map would be the exact map that you would use to categorize the different areas of your house or your main living room, right? This is all Feng Shui, by the way, you guys. This is, and it's, it is what it is. I buy into it. Why not? I'm not going to tempt fate when it comes to these kind of things. So like, for example, because my door is facing west, my career center is not the same as my wealth and prosperity center. My desk is in the wealth and prosperity center of this map. According to if my door, because my door is west facing, it enters at a different cube, if that makes sense. Does that make more sense? Are we following me? Yes or no?
So Katja shared that her front door is red and facing south, so she enters through the career cube.
If your door is facing south, you would be entering from the fire side. So depending on where your door is in your house, like, so if it's in the middle of the, like, let's say most homes, not all homes, so it's not true for all homes, but most homes have like a foyer and then a main living area, and the door enters into that space usually, right? So let's say, I mean, in the South, for example, South America, south of, what am I trying to say? Oh my gosh. In Alabama, there we go. We're very precise there. In Alabama, if you enter a home, you enter into a foyer. It's typically a very grand foyer. Typically to the right-hand side of the front door is your dining area. Typically to the left side is your family room area, or kind of the keeping room, the gathering place. And then straight ahead is usually the big location, like the big gathering place of that main level of the house. And so it's usually some sort of like the one with the fireplace. Okay, does that make sense? Can everybody kind of visualize that? Okay, so when you enter that way, it depends. Let's just say that it's in the middle, that door is in the middle, that we have a room to the side, to each of the sides. We have a main room in the main area, and we're not talking bedrooms. Sometimes we're talking kitchens, but not all the time we're talking kitchens. And we're entering, let's just say, so that we stick with this map, okay? We're entering from where the word water is on this map in that instance. Assuming that door is facing north. Okay, so as we open the door, as we come at the door, we are facing north directionally. Does that make sense? Okay, so if we're facing north, that fireplace, let's just use that as an example, that main living room where the fireplace is your fame and reputation section of your house. Typically, the balance and harmony section is where the staircase is. It's somewhere right around, it's sort of where the entry is. The entry would be then the career center, okay? So if you wanted your career to be really stable and really fruitful and really prosperous, you would want to have your entryway, essentially, have your foyer be very career oriented, or be maybe very organized. Maybe you have, that's where your stacks of papers are, really, really organized. Like, you don't want just arbitrary stacks of paper at your front door, ever. Even if it's not,
So to clarify for my brain, it's not necessarily which way our door is facing, it's which way we're walking in.
Correct.
There, so Katja, because I saw you, Katja, to be honest, and your mom chimed in that her front door faces southeast.
Correct.
So.
Right. So she would be coming in from the fire side. So her house is, of course, set up perfectly. She doesn't even know any of this crap. But fame and reputation. So let me just describe her foyer for you, because this is a perfect example. It's a very grand. It has this big, huge, beautiful, like dining room table that doesn't really even look like a dining room table. It's just very grand. It has so many people around it. It's almost as if she's inviting the entire community to come join her at the table, right? It's not red, but it doesn't have to be red. It screams kind of that passionate, exciting, gathering place, right? So in addition, right next to it is this beautiful little area, this little sitting nook where it's like this love and relationships, where we would maybe gather to watch a movie together, where we would, hang out. The wealth and prosperity piece of where that is located is this gorgeous, I can't even remember the name of the piece of furniture, but it's this really grand, gorgeous piece of furniture that it holds all the, she's probably describing what is it called, Mom?
Etagere?
Well, that's not what we call it.
Yeah. You mean the entry piece on the left side?
Yes.
Like it's a buffet, like
A buffet. There it is. There it is. I mean, but it's not just like, it doesn't just hold dishes. It holds like grand art pieces and beautiful flowers that are, I mean, it's just magnificent. I wish you guys could all see my mom's house. She has this uncanny ability to just put everything exactly where it's supposed to be. And if she looks at this Feng Shui map, she'll be like, oh my God, that's so cool. I can't believe I put that there and I didn't even know. She just has that innate sense. Anyway.
You're right.
It's so true. It's so true. So the balance and harmony center of my mom's house is the kitchen. Oh my God, if everybody's was the kitchen, that's where everybody gathers, right? So it's all balance and harmony in the middle of her home. That's why it's so fun to visit you. All right. Why is creating a vision board important? Cheryl, this is for you. All right, so visual aids have been found to improve learning and assimilation of information by 400%. Okay, so if we're seekers, if we're natural born students of the world around us, we need a vision board in our home. It is just a necessity. In other words, if you want to reach your goals faster, you will need to visualize them more often, right? This is, by the way, all science, you guys. I'm actually getting these quotes from scientific publications. So if you can see it in your mind, you hold it in your hand. That's, I think I mentioned this quote earlier today. Bob Proctor, sweet guy that he was. So what do you think will happen if you take those images out of your mind, okay, from his quote, if you take them out of your mind and put them in front of you as a visual that you can see every day? I mean, it's so obvious. We literally hold it in our hand that much faster. So that energy, that chi, that flow happens at that 6,000, whatever that quote was. It happens so much faster. So what does Feng Shui Vision Board have to do with community currency? I'm just going to acknowledge this quote by young Pablo. They asked her, what is the key to saving the world? She answered, you are the key. Heal yourself, know yourself, make yourself whole and free. Release all limits so that your love can flow unconditionally for yourself and for the world. This will open the heavens of your heart completely, and it will guide you without fail. How freaking powerful is that quote? Whew, gives me goosebumps. All right. That's how it impacts our community, is when I heard somebody say, and I'm sorry, I cannot remember who said it right now, but God, if we are all made in God's image, would we want God to be poor? Would we want him to be unhealthy, him or her? Would we want universal source to be struggling? Would we want them to be unhealthy or unable to pay their bills or unfed or clothed in the most beautiful of clothing? Hell no, we wouldn't. So why the heck do we treat ourselves that way? Why? It's just a learned behavior. It's just we need to unlearn that. There's no reason for us to be thinking that way about ourselves. We are so much more important than that. We would never treat anybody else the way that we treat ourselves. So we need to embrace the things that we want, not as a selfish need, but as we are made in God's image, and we would treat God this way. We would treat our God with the utmost respect and throw riches at him and want the best of everything in the world, right? So let's make the vision board. But before I get to that, Cindy Rose, God bless her heart, has been to every single one of my presentations in the last, 2 years, Cindy Rose? This is the section where I talk a little bit about who I am and why you should care about what I have to say. I am a wife. We've been together 21 plus years now. I cannot believe that at all. I'm a mama to a beautiful teen girl. Family is definitely my top priority. And as I've already mentioned, I'm an international business owner of more than 16 years. My formal education includes a master's of art education. I defended a research-based dissertation, which basically means that I can teach art theory. Bachelor's degree in fine arts. My focus was drawing, and I had 2 minors in art history and printmaking, which means I can create stuff. I have an associate's of art in biopsychology, believe it or not. That's a pre-medical degree, which means that I know a little bit about brain chemistry. There's a very good friend of mine, Blake Smith, who just earned her PhD. I'm so happy for her. I have actually more than 16 certifications because of, the re-upping in certifications and coming current and re-class, whatever. Anyway, I have so many certifications. But here's a nice little list of some of them. Most of you probably didn't know I have a certification in belly dancing. I am also a construction contractor. If you want to hire me to, build your outdoor patio storage facility, I can do that. I am a construction estimator. I have customer service representative skills. I use emotional freedom technique very regularly. Some of you may or may not know about it. If you haven't done it with me, you haven't done it properly, as far as I'm concerned. I have been an executive assistant, an executive manager, leadership, meditation specialist, master life transformation coach, certification, master toe reader certification, neurolinguistic program certification. I dabble in numerology, so I got that certification. I have been a peer minister since I was 11 years old is the first time that I went through peer ministry, so leadership training in school. It was called something different back then. Anyway, whatever it was called, but in high school it was peer ministry. Procurement specialist, reflexologist, Reiki teacher, so many freaking more. But the master life transformation coach, the master toe reader, and the emotional freedom technique are what I use the most these days. And as I said earlier, it's just a lot of expensive paper. I'm a lifelong learner. I absolutely love learning. I get these certifications not necessarily to pursue any one area of interest, but just because I'm fascinated by learning everything about everything. So it makes me super, super grateful that you guys are here learning with me. So I'm very honored to be in the teaching position today. Once you stop learning, you start dying. That's a great quote by Albert Einstein. So I think of myself as someone with the superpower of helping bridge the gap between the left brain and the right brain. And how cool is this image? I totally love this image. Between logic and imagination, between practical and ethereal. I I didn't realize, I was talking earlier about how Gene doesn't understand how much he knows and how much that knowledge is needed to be shared, right? Same holds true with me. Like, I had no idea that it wasn't just a completely natural thing for everybody to know how to balance this thing of the left brain and the right brain and how we show up in the world. But so don't take my word for it. Sunny Dawn Johnston says, Jamie is kind, compassionate, and gentle spirit who can guide you to the answers within yourself. Allow your toes to offer the insight and allow Jamie to interpret their message. It is a priceless gift. And as those of you who have seen her and know who she is and how she shows up in the world, you know that this just like, I, totally bawled when she wrote this for me. I was very, very honored. Robert Heiss, corporate manager at Harris Corporation, also a commander. I want to say that he is like the second in command of the naval. Anyway, he's fantastic. He actually asked me for a toe reading, you guys. I couldn't even believe it. It was so cool. Jamie provided a detailed, insightful reading that provided me with the opportunity to dig deeper within myself, and she provided avenues to think about issues from a totally different perspective. She provided a safe environment where I felt totally comfortable with the conversation. Great job. So that coming from somebody who's like super hyper left-brained, again, like just touched my heart. Nancy Newman was a classmate of mine. She has written a toe reading book. She is somebody that I definitely admire. She sung my praises. Jarrett Ransom, some of you may know as the nonprofit nerd out there in Arizona. She is all over the place, networking and emceeing and writing and keynote speaker and everything. So if you don't know Jarrett, I welcome you to check her out. I'm not going to read every single one of these, but I just want to point out some of the caliber of people that I've worked with. Just really amazing, amazing souls. Kay Coleman, she was actually my teacher in my final toe reading class, my master level toe reading class. She's just an amazing soul. She lives up there in San Francisco area. Bridges Connor is an organizer there in Phoenix. If you don't know, if you need any organizational skills, oh my God, she's amazing. She's such a neat lady. Really love her. Carol Cole is a real estate executive. Kellie Bennett is actually a coach now. That's so exciting. I love her too. I love all these people. Gretchen Hogg, where I met her through Celebrate Your Life conference. So just a very small handful of people that I've worked with. I haven't added Cheryl's yet, but I will. Okay, so back to the presentation. I cannot even see the slide. It's not something, it's who you think you're not. Oh, it's not, I don't know. Anyway, all the things are in the way. That's okay, you guys can read it. You don't need me to read it to you. Does anybody have any questions right now? Everything good out there?
Your mom did give you kudos on how good you are at organizing.
Oh, thank you very much, Mama. Oh, it's not who you are that holds you back. It's who you think you're not. Ooh, that's good. I love that quote. With reckless abandon, therefore, we are to manifest God's unconditional love by ascribing unsurpassable worth to all people at all times in all conditions. That is the goal. It is not an easy goal to achieve for me. I definitely have judgment around some things going on in the world, but I aspire to let that judgment fall to the wayside when I'm dealing with one-on-one persons, which is, I think, why this internet thing has a tendency to bring out the nastiness in people, because we don't have to actually face them when we're saying mean things, right? Anyhow, grab a pencil. Here's what we're gonna do. Okay, so let me show you what this looks like. Bagheera, love, you're gonna have to get down. Oh, stop it. She's all mad. Okay, so you know what? Before I do this, I'm going to skip to a different slide. Here we go. Okay, so we're going to divide our paper But before you divide it, I don't want you to do that yet. So let's go to this one before we do that, okay? I just want to show you how it shows up. So that one that you saw earlier with I always somehow end up with Marilyn Monroe on mine too. I don't know. I haven't, who knew? But she's in a lot of mine. Just notice how even though these are sectioned off areas, they don't have to be only in that section. And you'll also, I'm sure, notice that they're not the colors that are recommended. I try to include those colors. I try to incorporate those colors, but it's not always very specific to the colors that are suggested. That said, I wonder what would happen if I did make it a point to include the colors, because I think that in this one, which was, I'm thinking maybe I'm gonna pick you up and try to show you a little bit more up close what that looks like, okay? I think that when I did this one, I was much more conscious because it was the very first one that I did as a Feng Shui vision board, not just a vision board. And so I was thinking very consciously about the colors and how those colors showed up. And I can point out, in fact, I think the only thing on this thing that I did not end up manifesting was the luxury car. And even that's a stretch, because I definitely had a luxury car. It just wasn't this one. So anywho, super, super cool. Really, really, it's such powerful stuff. I'm such an advocate for it, obviously, or I wouldn't be teaching this class. But anyway, so when you divide your poster board into sections, you're going to want to think about where it is, whether you want it upright or whether you want it horizontal, whether you are going to hang it on the wall or whether you're going to kind of tuck it away somewhere where you don't necessarily see it every day. I highly recommend putting it somewhere where you can see it regularly, because that's how we get dreaming about these things. That's how, because you know that when it's up on the wall, we sort of ignore it. We get used to seeing it. We don't really need it to prompt anything. And once we create it, we're really not trying to pursue anything in it. We're just putting it out there into the universal energy, saying, these are the things that I would like to attract into my life. And it kind of gets into that subconscious. And it just, I can't even begin to tell you how magical it is. But anyway, let's go back to this one, okay? What I want you guys to start with, and Jean, this is where I need your help, hon. Hold that thought. Feel free to grab yourselves a drink, whatever you need. I'm gonna pop this out of the frame so that you can see what here. So that you can see, can you hear me when I'm that far away from the, so that you can see how I get it so that the frame itself is, or rather so that the piece becomes a piece of artwork, okay? Because I'll tell you something here, take that completely, babe. Awesome, thank you. Set that down. When it comes to vision boards, one of the things that I started doing was I started getting the foam core, because it doesn't bend, it doesn't fold, but the problem with that is that it also doesn't fit into a frame. A pre-made frame. You have to actually get foam core professionally framed and mounted properly, because it just doesn't fit, right? So I realized very quickly that I want to go back to using poster boards. So even though this is an awesome thing and it's much more stable, and I really could probably figure out a way to hang this all by itself, it probably doesn't need a frame. I kind of like the finished image of the framed piece of artwork. So when you do buy a frame, if you are going to go there with your piece, I want you to get one with a piece of mat board, okay? I want you to look for a frame with a piece of mat board included with it, okay? It cleans up the edges of the magazine really nicely and all that kind of good stuff. The thing about the mat board is that when you figure out, you have to make sure that your my cats are arguing with each other. They're being naughty. But you can see that I've drawn this black line so that I know where the mat is going to cover up. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so I'm going to put this up here. Hang tight just a minute. Let me see if I can do this.
Just really quick, Susie shared that she uses foam board so that she can move it around the house.
I think that that's wise. And you know, I do this because I reuse the frame, but because the frame has a wire, you guys probably can't see the wire. It's kind of a pain in the butt to get this in and out of, which is why I asked Jean for help. But here's what I'm gonna do. No, I think I'm okay. So this, I'm gonna just kind of set that there. I'm just leaning this up against my wall. So that you can see what this looks like, okay? I'm gonna pull it to you. I made it so that the poster board is at the very bottom of the mat and the frame. So you can see that it's only just a tiny little bit on each of the sides. You have to make sure that you have a poster board that's big enough to fit inside the mat board, okay? But I just think that it ends up coming out a lot more beautiful looking. So I'm going to next address, so you can see on this one, like when it's out of the frame and the mat, you can see where these pieces of the puzzle kind of end and where it's not necessarily, I mean, it's clean enough. It's clean enough. But now I'm going to address, I want to talk a little bit about the idea of the overwhelm of all of those images, okay? When it's your images, there's a lot less overwhelm with it, right? These are all my images. Every single image in there has a significance to me. So it can feel really overwhelming because none of those mean anything to you, or, you know, very few of them probably mean anything to you guys, right? But when it's your images and they're images that have that heartfelt connection, and these are things that you want to bring into your life, or things that represent something that you want to bring into your life, right? All of a sudden, you have that emotional attachment to the image, and the images layered upon each other. It feels better when it's your images, is all I'm trying to say, okay? If the overwhelm of too many images really hits you, then don't put that many images. That's part of this in the next slide, which is, you can see these colors. So I've chosen a color for each of the sections that feels the best to me as a representative. So pink is more of a representative of love and relationship to me than red is, because red to me is a power color. So it's more of a power color than a passion color. So the power color, I want it to be in the fame and reputation. That makes way more sense to me. It's not in my career. It's not, you know, they have burgundy as an option, which is basically a red, right? As an option in the career section. For me, that doesn't feel right. It feels more like a navy. It feels more like I'm holding space for somebody else. It's not me taking control, right? So you kind of have to look at the colors, feel them out, see where they land with you in your experience and what you want to create. And then something that Susie did last year, if memory serves, and I assume I can share this with everybody, Susie, is that she put a background color on that whole section. So the wealth and prosperity section was all, I think, purple. The fame and reputation was all red. The love and relationships was all one color. I don't know which color, but you see what I'm saying. So that when she laid down pictures on that area, it was only maybe a handful of pictures. It wasn't this, 20 pictures piled on top of each other like I have. You're just taking a glimpse into my brain looking at those things like this. That's how my brain works. If your brain is, you need it to be a little bit more, categorized and cut and, like this is this, that is that, this is this. Even if it's only one image in each section, that's okay. There is nothing wrong with the way that you do it. It is completely up to you. It has to feel like a really valuable thing to you. So each of the pictures that you choose, I want you to really take a minute to feel the picture. And if the picture doesn't bring you love, joy, laughter, playfulness, excitement, all the good vibrational, high vibrational energy emotions, do not put it on your list or do not put it on your vision board ever. And that includes things like those words. Right.
So two things have come up, Jamie. First of all, Susie said, yes, she did it again this year. Katja put, so because the pictures didn't overlap, the background color represented the area.
Correct. Now, I mean, you guys, I do this a lot, as my husband can attest, and I believe he said in the introduction. I have this, okay? It's really heavy. I know, right? 63 and a half pounds, he says. It's a file. Yeah, carry case file folder. And in it, I have, for example, cut out my love and relationship section. Okay, so on this Bagua map, it's the right top, it's pink, right? Red, what, I don't even know what it says. Red, pink, and white, right? Okay, so all of the images that I come across that represent, and this is a perfect image to represent it, right? If you can see it, like for me, perfect image for me, that love, relationships, and like that, dancing, slow dancing, right? Lounging by a pool. Let's see, what else do I have in here? Rocking chair. Like, things that are already cut out that represent what I feel like is a good way to show up in my love and relationships, okay? And I have it organized like this Bagua map. So at any time I come across a magazine image that I enjoy, I gather it up, I cut it out, and I put it in its category. And that's how obsessive compulsive I am.
So speaking of, thank you for the segue. Speaking of obsessive compulsive, my brain is wanting to do like 4 in each one. Like, can you talk, is there supposed to be a balance to it? Like, and you may get there, and I apologize if I'm overstepping, but.
No, you're questions. I love questions. You're never, ever, ever overstepping anything as far as I'm concerned. I'm going to move past that. I think that's pretty much the entire presentation, you guys. So let me just, that's the entire presentation. So I'm going to stop on this page. Ask the question again, Cheryl, because I'm not 100% sure I understand it.
Well, because I'm looking for balance. And so to me, like my wealth and prosperity, I may find 6 or 7 things that I just absolutely love, where my creativity and children's side won't really be as impressible to me because it's not where I'm focused right now. So I'm worried about like my board will be heavy in some areas and very light in others.
Okay. I hear what you're saying. And what I would welcome you to consider is I really prefer for me, and again, it's the OCD piece of me, I do want to see a balance. So if you have 6 images in one that you love, probably it's best to have 6 equal size images in all the other areas.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Susie just said, well, in Feng Shui, aren't certain numbers associated with each area of the map?
They probably are. In fact, I know they are, but I try not to get too heavy into all the symbolism because that messes with that left logic side of me where I am trying too hard to conform. And I want this to be more creative, more energizing, more of that. I'm just putting the energy into this thing that I want to come off of the paper and hold in my hand. Because this is very material, so to speak. It doesn't necessarily mean that all the images are material, but each of them invokes a feeling, an emotion. So it's literally energy in motion, right? So that emotion is what I'm going after in the picture. So for example, Cheryl, you don't have kids. You're probably not going to have kids. You probably don't have a whole heck of a lot of people in your life who have kids. So go to the child within yourself. What would that child want? What would that child want represented in the child and creativity section? Journal.
Okay. Nice subliminal messaging, and thank you. And Susie said I have her family, so I know that. So thank you for that.
That's right. That's right. So, but you get what I'm saying. Like it doesn't have to.
I do.
So career, not all of us are 9-to-5ers. But what does that career look like in your ideal scenario? For me, I have gathering around a table. I have a whole group of people gathering around a table. That doesn't look very career oriented to most people, but to me, that looks ideal as far as a career situation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense. 100%.
So there's room for interpretation on all of these. Self-knowledge or self-cultivation and knowledge. I have Marilyn Monroe sitting there with a book. I mean, she's not exactly thought of as somebody who read a whole heck of a lot, right? She's not exactly known for her intellect. But I love that she's this beautiful, sexy, vibrant woman who had many, many, many aspects of herself hidden from society because it just wasn't acceptable at the time, right? And I love that she's just sitting there quietly. It looks almost like she's in a contemplative state around whatever it was that she just read. Like, so this is my interpretation of this image. So to me, it looks like she's enjoying and thinking about something she just read. So that's why it's there.
Kat just shared that her takeaway is do what feels right to me and follow the basic layout. Also, it's not important that the pictures are of myself, but that seeing a situation setting triggers the emotion.
Yes, yay, fantastic, good. Because yes, you're looking for things that trigger an emotion. So like, I just want to go back to this image because I want to point out something that is like one of my ultimate goals. And by the way, notice my yacht was not on there yet, but that yacht is going to be on this year's. I'm just saying. All right, so where is it? I know it's here somewhere. There it is. Okay, this one right here, and I am going to annotate because I think that we can stay on this one. If I can. Why is the chat there? Can you guys see the chat or is that just me? So weird. Back to the mouse. Close the chat. All right, there we go. There it is. All right. This image right here. It's kind of buried. And Katja, I'm actually thinking out loud right now in why that staircase, that very specific staircase, not necessarily the exact look of it, but the idea of there being a round table, a huge 2-story foyer, double stairs going up to a second level, has always been something that I imagine in my head when I think of walking into my home, the place that feels like home to me. Okay, so, but what's really interesting in your question about the number of images here is I have it buried, don't I? I have it buried under all the other images. So it's something that on a subconscious level, if I were to do that soul collage exercise, and that's why I brought the soul collage up. If I were to do that soul collage exercise with this, I would say I am buried. My goals are buried behind. My goals are backburnered, or some of the things that I feel like are significant things to me are lower on my priority list right now, right? You see that? How that shows up? So just know that it's all kind of a metaphor for where we want to be, what we want to attract to us, how we want to show up in the world, what it looks like. I have zero idea where we are on time. How are we doing?
We're more than fine time-wise. You got a good 40 minutes. How frequency of doing the boards? What have you found?
Okay. So I have a tendency to do them every year and a half, give or take. So I'll typically do one in winter. I'll skip that summer, and then I'll do the next one in the following summer. So usually winter break, and then I'll skip a year and I'll do the next one in the summer of the next year. Does that make sense?
Yep, makes sense. Susie, you're doing yours yearly?
It's
Yeah,
not.
she noted yes.
There's no real rhyme or reason to when I do them. I get to a point where I see a lot of the manifestation on the board, and I decide that it's time to add new things to the board, so I start over. And I don't know why, I don't know why my voice is being weird, but yeah, I mean, it's really fun to look back on these and to see where I am doing so well with, like, it's really exciting to see it. Oops. Anyway.
Susie shared that she does them yearly. As her life unfolds, sometimes new things becomes more important. And the current situation this week for her has her thinking of redoing her Feng Shui board for 2022.
Okay. Yeah. I feel that. I don't know why I feel that. We're going to talk about that later, Susie, but but yeah, that's pretty cool. So, like, for example, this one was done in 2014. It was done right before I moved to Alabama. And this is what I kind of wanted to create when we were in Alabama. I'm just going to go through and show you all the things that I created. I created a kick-ass job. I had fantastic friendships. I literally worked with those two girls. That's me in the middle, as far as I'm concerned. My friend had a pig who I got to hang out with a whole heck of a lot. We bicycle rode. We hung out. We had a beautiful anniversary celebration while we were living in Alabama. Let's see what else. We had a gorgeous home that almost looked exactly like that one. I got a 1901 typewriter. That is the inspiration for writing my book. Notice the little mouse right next to it because I was, it's just the symbol. I'm not actually going to use the typewriter, although I very much enjoy the idea of the sound of a typewriter. But it's not particularly practical. I think I pointed this out earlier. I didn't actually manifest that specific car, but we bought a brand new car while we were there. Beautiful new car. I wanted to represent cleaning as something that was fun and exciting instead of something that was a chore. So that's why I have the little baby holding the mop, because I just wanted it to be playful and childlike. I didn't want it to feel like a burden. I definitely was juggling a lot of balls all at the same time, and I had a feeling going into it that I was going to be. This is just a representation of being able to handle it all, which I believe I did. It was not always easy. I had regular massages, which was fantastic. We had really good teamwork going on for the most part in my experience in Alabama and working in Alabama. I mean, like, there are so many things on this. The freedom, the yoga, we can do it. We can make it work. We can, sit in peace and harmony. We can, so you get what I'm saying, right?
Patches shared, do you take time to on a regular basis to sit in front of it and go through the visualization process? Or you just say, I created it, it's out there, and universe, do its thing?
I do a little bit of the visualization when I'm feeling stuck, or when I'm feeling in a bad mood, or when I'm feeling, kind of negative. I definitely use it as a prompt to re-engage me in the dream, in the goals, in the fun of it, so one of the big themes in my life, running through my life, is enjoy the journey. So just to remind myself that it's all a journey. We'll all get there eventually. It's kind of what I say when somebody cuts in line at like an amusement park or something. For whatever reason, that rubs me so the wrong way because everybody's waiting. Everybody has their time to wait. And when people cut, it's just one of those things like, come on, really? You can't wait like the rest of us? You're better than us, or what's the deal with that? It feels yucky to me. Okay, because it's not something that I would do to somebody else. And I know that there's all kinds of reasons. Maybe they just went to the bathroom. Maybe, I get it. Maybe they're older and they can't stand in an hour-long line, whatever. There's lots of reasons, and I'm not negating that everybody shouldn't cut. There are exceptions to the rule. But in general, the rule is that you wait your turn, right? So when somebody is very obviously not waiting their turn, and energetically, I feel it, guys. I feel when somebody is just being an ass. I want to take really? Like, what are you thinking? Like, that's such bad energy. That's such bad karma. Don't you know this? But I don't even know where I was going with that, but it's something along the lines of, like, when I feel in that space, I just sit back and kind of take a deep breath and remind myself and visualize. This is just a kind of a tool to visualize. Like, remember that this is about the journey. We're all going to get there. We're all going to get there in due time. So it's no big deal.
Susie had shared, I need to re-engage with hers more rather than letting it get pushed into a corner. And Katja shared, I have huge resistance to having to do something. Oh, look at that little German nature sticking out there. So when a mentor told me I have to go through my visualization daily, write down my vision statement daily, it becomes a chore and I lose interest. This having it up on the wall, glancing at it daily, or sit with it as much needed feels better.
It does. It does to me too. And I have been told that before as well. So I definitely feel that pain. I think, and the things, I mean, it's a mindset shift around this idea of forcing universal energy. Well, I don't know about you. I'm a pretty powerful freaking woman. That feels wrong to me. It feels wrong to have to force Mother Nature, so to speak, right? So it doesn't sit well with me. So I don't buy into that. I just let them, I just, nod and I'm like, okay, like you do you, like whatever works for you. For me, it feels better to create it and kind of forget about it. I don't really meditate on it necessarily. I don't really sit and visualize in it. I use it as a tool to bring me back to a place of peace, actually, around manifestation, back to a place of fun and enjoyment and excitement, which is why it's so important to choose images that bring you that sense of peace and joy and love and excitement. I mean, I see that typewriter and I want to start writing. I want to start writing my book. I want to get back to whatever, where it started to feel like a chore. And then I have that little visualization of that beautiful typewriter and I'm like, okay, I'm in again. Right? A horse. We've always had horses in our lives on some level or another. When we were in Alabama, Jacelyn, one of Jean's coworkers owned horses. So we used to go up to his barn and visit his horse all the time. And it was so nice. We absolutely loved it. There's something, I know this is going to sound weird to people that don't know horses, but there's something about the smell of a barn that feels like home to me. It just feels normal and natural and good. And even mucking a barn feels like genuine, solid, good work, right? So it's very peaceful to me. So that's what I see. Now, my sister-in-law, terrified of horses. This visualization would not work on any level in any way for her, right? It would give her the exact opposite feeling that it gives me. So definitely go with your instincts, definitely go with your gut, definitely go with the feeling of what you're trying to create. So back to the Feng Shui part of this board, if I can get my mouse to work and figure this out. It's being weird. I don't know what I
While
did.
you're doing that, I'll share that the cowgirl in the group said that she understands exactly where you're coming from. My little sister from another mister. And Katja said that she does feel grounded around horses and farm animals.
Yeah, no, it's, I mean, it doesn't work for everybody, right? That's why this is not everybody else's vision board. And that's okay. But yeah, so, okay, let me see if I can go back to the Bagua map, because that is a really important piece to this. Okay, I will send it to you guys. I think that it's on my website or on my Facebook page, in the Soul Heart Entertainment Facebook page, but I'll send it directly to you. Anybody who wants one, just let me know. When it comes to each of these scenarios, okay, so whether it's wealth and prosperity, whether it's creativity and children, travel and helpful people, right? That's where journaling comes in. That's where we go back to what I was talking about at the end, which is that piece of journaling. Journaling helps us get to the emotion that we want to be creating. Okay. When in doubt, journal about it. Journaling is such a powerful thing. And if you feel resistance to journaling, I don't even know what to say about that, other than to say that that's normal. It's not natural for all of us to sit and write out our feelings and get in touch with our emotions. And I like it, part of me is like, whatever. I don't have time for that. I have things to do. I have places to go and people to see. But there is a lot of peace that comes from being in touch with your emotions, being in touch with what you're trying to create in the world, being connected to that source energy. And for me, like I'm going to relate it to what Kaspars was saying, when I wrote it here. That's how powerful it was for me. When we hear, we tend to forget. What we see, we tend to remember. What we do, we understand. And that is how journaling works for me also. That's, I think, why it really hit home when he said that. And I made him repeat it like 2 or 3 times, didn't I? It was really powerful because that's the truth. For me, it uses way more senses than any other way of doing things. Sitting in silent meditation is powerful in and of itself, but for some reason, my soul doesn't handle that nearly as well as it handles journaling. Journaling, I don't have to create anything. Do you know that the most powerful journaling that I've ever done, I'm going to do it right now so that you guys can see it. Hold that thought. I'm going to grab a piece of paper. All right, here we go. All right, so I'm just grabbing a little notebook that I have handy, my handy dandy notebook. And blank page, you see that, right? I'm going to take a little breath. You're welcome to join me in this, by the way, if you want to go grab a piece of paper really quick. Get a pen or a pencil. I have a tendency to like working with my pencils. I have no idea why. There's just something about the sound and the feel of a pencil on a paper that feels good to me. So I use pencils far more often than I use pens. But I take my pen, I try to hold it at as close to a 90-degree angle to the paper as possible. And I take a couple of centering deep breaths. And I focus my mind on, we could choose any number of those 9 things. So just for the sake of argument, and because it's not really a place of, most people don't get too heavy into the emotion of it, but that idea of balance and harmony. Okay, so what does balance and harmony look like in my world for me? So I'm going to take a couple of deep breaths, and then I'm just going to draw with my eyes closed. I'm not going to think about it, or as little thinking as is possible. And then you do that for literally like 30 seconds. There's nothing involved as far as expectations, or I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just scribbling. I'm just going to keep scribbling until that 30 seconds is up, and it's probably going to be short of 30 seconds because I don't have a timer going. But, okay, so this is what I created. Looks like a whole bunch of scribbling, right? Except that our brains are programmed to see things, to make sense of chaos. So while it looks like scribbling to you, it's almost like tea leaf reading. I'm just relating this to the tea leaf reader that we had in our last thing. I see a bird in flight. And I'll show you in a second what I see, okay? So in this, I see a bird, head first, wings on either side, in flight, and it's like it's darting down, right? So on some level, in some way, balance and harmony feels like a fast-paced moving bird, like a bird flying for something very, very specific, like pinpointing that piece of, I just imagined a bow, the target, like bow, what the heck is that called?
Archery.
Archery, thank you. I just
got you.
imagined archery. So like this very specific pinpointed, it's on this circle, I'm going for it, right? It's this harmony, this balance and harmony is something that's very pinpointed for me. And so this bird from this frickin' scribble, less than 30 seconds, I'm somehow interpreting it into something that makes sense. So now that I've done that, I typically add the date. Today is the 19th of February, 2022. Scribble, journaling. And then I'm going to put that I saw a bird flying fast. And then I'm going to put the word pinpoint because that's the word that came to mind. Archery, because that also came to mind. And then I'm going to add that I was focused on harmony, balance and harmony. That's my journal entry. Okay. Does the picture perfect revelation of wisdom look really cool? Fuck yeah, it does. But
Susie had shared that journaling's hard and she's resistant, where Susie, I think you're a brilliant journaler with your books personally.
But it doesn't have to look like that. So if I feel like it, and I don't always, in fact, almost never do I feel like adding to it. But now that I have this, and now that I see what I see, and now that I have the words to use with it, I'll come back in with my cute little pens and I'll actually color in the bird. And I might add a little archery, bullseye behind it. I might even add some arrows. I don't know. Like I would just allow myself to be creative with this experience. And this took me what, 1 minute from start to finish? And only if I feel like it, am I going to go to this place where I'm adding that color and that because it's fun to me. If I didn't find it fun, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I don't have enough time, you guys. You don't have enough time. I know we're all strapped for time. So do what's fun, do what feels good, but sometimes it takes getting out of our comfort zone and getting past that feeling of, I don't want to. Right? You're telling me to, so I'm definitely going to resist it. Like that's the little 3-year-old inside us that's throwing a temper tantrum around it, right? That's the 3-year-old that's like, whatever, you think you're in charge of me? No. Right? And what does God do when we make plans? He laughs. We're not in charge. We can only put the energy out there and hope that it comes back, and it does every last freaking time. But back to the Feng Shui vision board. Do you all feel comfortable with the idea of what that looks like? Okay, let's talk a little bit, just because I didn't go into this in my presentation. But let's talk a little bit about, I'm going to grab, so one of my folders, the most full folder, is just scraps of paper that haven't been officially cut out yet. So let's talk a little bit about that and what that looks like, okay? Because sometimes as I go through these, for example, actually, this is a perfect example, okay? Because it's small and it's manageable and everything. You can see that there is a giraffe here. He's on the savannah. Who knows whether he's in a zoo or whether that's actually in the middle of Africa? Who knows, right? Doesn't really matter. When I put this on my vision board, I can absolutely put it in just as it is. Okay. Because I like that chaotic layering look, I guarantee you that this is not going to be how this ends up on my vision board. If I want to put this in my travel section, I'm cutting out the sky. I'm probably cutting out the grass too, but we'll leave the grass for now. And I'm just going to cut out the sky, and I'm going to cut right around my little giraffe because I like the little giraffe, and that's the focus of what I want to envision in my travels, right? I would love to see a giraffe on the savannah again. It's been a long time, you guys. I was there for the '84 Olympics. Oh, we left Los Angeles because my dad didn't want anything to do with it. '84? Yeah, it was '84. So we went to Africa, went on safari. It was an absolutely amazing trip. But it's been a long time since I've had, so that's it. That's what came out of it. Okay. So I know that this represents to me going on that trip to Africa. Maybe it's going to only end up me being at the zoo seeing a giraffe. I don't know. I mean, you know, it's far more likely to be that, but it brings up those wonderful memories of being on safari. We didn't have access to anything, not even running water. We didn't have access to any kind of electronic equipment, which was like amazing. I mean, it was horrific for us kids because we thought we were going to die without them, much like the kids today. But we sang, we sat around campfires at night. We got mauled by a group of, God, my poor brother. We got mauled by a group of baboons that attacked our, my brother had his own tent. So poor little Greg thought he was going to be killed by baboons. And he might've been. He fortunately did not get killed by baboons, but you know, something like this picture where it's all of these beautiful flowers. Like, what do you do with that? How do you cut anything out of that, right? Maybe it ends up that this would make a better background for my soul collage cards than it would on my vision board, right? Or maybe it's the perfect backdrop to my gold section, to my balance and harmony section. So maybe this is what I put in the background, and maybe I put a Buddha or some sort of image that means balance and harmony to me. Maybe it's some chick in a yoga costume. I don't know. You know, those kind of things represent balance and harmony. For Susie, it might be hiking. That's balance and harmony for Susie, right? But that's just as important. How you cut the pieces out is just as important as where they are placed on the page. Yeah, I think that covers most everything, right? You know, something like this image. It's not just the gal in the gown that I find exciting about this picture. It's the moon and the fact that there's somebody out there, like, you know, standing on hand to take care of her. Like, I like here, you want to change into this dress? I'm here, I'm at your service, you know. Like, that's what does it for me about this image. So when I put this on my vision board, it's all about the whole picture. I wouldn't necessarily cut anything out of there. I might layer on top of it because I do like that layering effect, but I don't think I would cut anything out of this. I would cover up the text, You know, I would put something over the text so that the text wasn't the focus of it. But I love this. I love this where this person is just like, I'm at your service. What may I do? How may I serve you? I'm like, yeah, that brings me joy.
So we got about 15 minutes left, but a couple of things you've touched on it twice. You've come close to the edge of touching on where I'm heading us. But what's mindset when we look at our vision boards? Because I think so often some of us will put something audacious up there, like your yacht, and look at it and go, that's a pretty picture, but it's never going to happen. And I know that you get where I'm heading. So you just go. People know shouldn't be used to how you and I work now anyway.
Love it. I love it. Good team. Good team. That's a great question. I really appreciate that question because the truth is that if it does not bring you joy, it shouldn't be on there. And maybe that's why that yacht isn't on mine yet or hasn't been up till now. Now, when I think of that yacht, I'm like, yay, this is so cool. I can't wait. This is awesome. I'm totally headed in that direction. But before, it might have felt too overwhelming. It's a goal. It's kind of that thing in the back of my head, but maybe we're not quite there yet to having it be something that brings you joy. So you really, really need to make sure that when you're putting images on your vision board, that every single one of them gives you that giddy schoolgirl or schoolboy feeling of, I cannot wait till this comes to fruition. This is going to make me so excited. Like I'm already excited feeling it coming. It is coming. And it has to feel in that present moment. It has to feel good. It has to have that vibration of almost like, and here's, I think what you're getting at, Cheryl, and correct me if I'm wrong. And I think that a couple of people have said something about it. And that is that when it's a big, huge goal, and it's something that we're not quite sure how we're going to manifest. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if it's even possible, but it still brings us joy. That's when we need to just get the heck out of our own way. We need to just set it out there. Every once in a while, I mention the yacht. I mean, I mention it a lot more in my teaching because it is this big, huge, fantastical goal that's beyond measure for most people, myself included. But every time I mention it, I get this big smile. My vibration totally goes up. It's really exciting. It's really happy for me. So as long as it continues to feel that way, I'll continue to keep mentioning it. What's really interesting about that is that because I'm in that high vibration of it, I have had people reach out to me and say, you know, hey, we're renting this boat. You want to come join us? Hey, we're going on this thing over here. Did you know that you could rent a yacht? You don't have to buy one. I'm like, all of these really great ideas. And I think I've told you guys this story, but I'm not sure if it was this group or a different group. So I'll tell it again. When I was at the doctor's, I was actually in for a mammogram. I was sitting, waiting in the mammogram. You know, all of the energy in those places has a tendency to be a little bit anxious. It's a little bit of a downer. People there are not there because they really want to be. They're there because for a variety of reasons, but you know, getting your boobs squished is not the greatest feeling in the whole wide world. And the anxiety that goes with what happens if, right? That whole fear-based reality, because you're there for a screening of some kind, it feels awkward. It feels weird. It feels uncomfortable sometimes. So I'm sitting there. I don't think anyway, my memory says that I hadn't mentioned a yacht in a long time. It was shortly after I posted the image of the yacht on my Facebook banner behind, and it was just kind of something in the background for me. I wasn't talking about it daily. I wasn't feeling into it daily. It was just in the background. It was just something that felt interesting. There was this stack of magazines. I'm not kidding. It was at least this tall. Okay, a good 6 inches tall. And I reached down and I fingered for a random magazine in the middle. Now, this was everything from like Women's Weekly to People to, you know, all the typical doctor's office magazines. And I pulled out a yachts magazine. I mean, it totally blew my mind at the time. I'm like, holy free holies. And I sent a picture of it to Jean. I'm like, see, it's so close. That's just the energy that it puts off. So when it comes to vision boards, you really want to tap into and go with what feels the best, what feels good, what brings you joy, what you want to bring to you. The piece of the puzzle with the areas and the different ideas of what it looks like to you, that's where the journaling kind of comes in. Is that if you're not 100% what your career looks like, if you're not 100% sure how or what you're open to when it comes to, or really the result that you want to create, you know, what Katja, you said earlier in one of the sessions, something about the difference, but in the energy around results, right? What was that saying?
Oh, I remember it was very short, 2 sentences. It was really short sentences to catch. It was with the Kaspars you said it.
It was like you wanted to
marry the results, divorce the marry one. Which is it? Katja, help us then, because I got us close.
Divorce the results, marry the habit.
There you go.
Okay, so this is almost the opposite of that, in the sense that you want to vibrate at the, what do you want to create? So that's the results. You want that, what results do you want to create in wealth and prosperity? What results do you want to create in health and family? What results do you want to create in knowledge and self-cultivation? Like for me, it was that image of Marilyn Monroe chilling out, contemplating this incredible knowledge that she just came across, right? That's the feeling of that image to me. So, and I can dissect each of those sections and what picture represents what emotion behind it. But the emotion is the result that you want to create. So it's almost the exact opposite of that statement, which is great. Because when we think about things with that left-brained piece of our mind, we want to be in the place of marrying the, what is it again?
The habit.
The habit. We do, because the habits are what eventually create the result, right? The habits are what bring the result to us. But that emotion, that feeling, that joy, that excitement, that all the good feels and the positive vibes, that's what makes it happen, where we don't have to put forth effort to it, right? The habit is what creates the effort. That's the do piece of it. The result is the feels, and you have to have the feels wrapped around that and just, you know, vibrating and getting you all like, wow, wow, Wubsy. Do you guys know that cartoon?
This goes back to a movie or cartoon with you for me. Two things. Well, do you want to share that? And then I got 2 things for you.
No, go ahead.
Okay. 2 things. First of all, for those that are creeping Facebook and or just getting the recordings and not necessarily getting the chat, Katja, I love what you put there, so I am going to read it out loud. She puts, she wasn't liking, if the goal doesn't scare you, it's not big enough. She doesn't want to be scared. She wants the joy. She wants the joy of seeing the possibilities. And then feel the result. The how is none of her business, she put there. And then Erin asked a question she had asked yesterday about having a single theme for a vision board. Mine being money. Would I just look for pictures that I want to reflect that theme in each area, or how would that flow?
Yes. So for example, okay, Katja, first of all, awesome. It is so obvious to me that you've been through and studied and been able to assimilate a lot of the knowledge that you've learned through your network marketing training. So kudos to that. There is such a value in that training. I can't even begin to tell you. The piece of the puzzle for when we choose a theme for our vision board, that's not necessarily just balance and harmony, you know, the grand scheme of life, so to speak, right? We really want to create, so Erin, you really want to create wealth, right? It's not necessarily money, it's wealth. Money is part of wealth, but wealth is what you're wanting to create. So when you come up with a theme to focus on, you want that theme to be versatile, right? So do you see the difference in the feel of the energy between money and wealth? It's a different energy. So just when you pick a theme, I highly recommend that that theme be all encompassing so that you can find wealth in helpful people and travel. You can find wealth in balance and harmony. You can find wealth in relationships and love, right? Does that make sense?
Erin has said that she feels the difference in that.
Okay. So yeah, so the color background. So if you're a little bit more like my mom would probably find my vision boards horrifying because they're all over the place. There was way too much going on. They're colorful, so she might like that piece of it, but it would probably feel a little overwhelming to her to look at them. It would be better if my mom created little, you know, very precise, maybe square cutouts, and maybe only 3 or 4, like 4 for each section, if she was able to create an exact, you know, do you know what I'm saying? And maybe even she would want to frame each of them so that it would be really clear lines, like it would be very much yellow, brown, and orange for balance and harmony. She would have all black, you know what I'm saying? Like it would be a little bit more OCD, for lack of a better way of saying it, because that's just how her mind works, and it feels good to her when everything is clean and precise and to the point. For me, the chaos and mayhem feels more comfortable. It feels more valid to me, right?
Your mother has shared you nailed her, so you're all good.
Yeah, she's probably looking at these vision boards going, not in a million years would I ever create that. She's freaking crazy. But that's okay. That's why we're different. That's why it works. All right, so let me just finish up. Anything that you're not sure how you feel about yet, or what it is that you want to feel in it, this is where to go with it. The gratitude in written form is the #1 key to unlock the desires that you have in your life. It is the only way that I have found to make it real for me in knowing how it feels. It feels good to be doing those kind of things. And by the way, I don't know if you guys know this. I don't think I've shared it with too many people, but we are renting this, how long is it, Mom? Like 120-foot houseboat over the summer. So I'm getting on a boat this summer, damn it. So excited. So that's happening. Yay.
70 foot, Jane.
What's that?
70.
70.
Well, you know, so I have 120. All right, we're gonna do something about that, right?
I wish.
Throw some upgrade at it.
And Erin's asking if you said gratitude in written form.
I feel very strongly that it's that written, you know, and it goes back to that idea of journaling. What we hear, we tend to forget. What we see, we remember. But what we do, we really understand. And understanding is the key when it comes to the feelings associated with each of these sections. right? The feelings are what we're going for. The feelings that these images create for us. Because we're not going to put career, right? That doesn't feel good. Certainly doesn't feel good to me anyway. I could be wrong. Maybe it does feel really good to somebody out there. But the idea of the word career feels uncomfortable for me. It feels too stark. It feels like it fits into a very specific type of box, and that box is not my box. But the images associated with career here, like the little microphone, the gathering of lots of people, the, maybe adding a little bit more knowledge to the dancing around and having a good time with friends, the, hanging out with freaking God. Why not? Like all of those things represent career beautifully to me. So back to the journal question. Yes, I believe that gratitude in written form is way stronger than gratitude, even when we meditate. It's very powerful when we meditate, don't get me wrong. And maybe it's different for somebody else. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if it were different for somebody else, because I have a tendency to be very left-brained. I have a tendency to be very logical. And so to get at that emotional side of me, I have to kind of break through. Well, if I don't use that logic to my advantage, I could get very lost in the emotion. And I go down this little spiral of not feeling good, not like getting all into the negative emotions, feeling really heavy because I can, if I go there, I can very much attract all of the heaviness that goes with that emotion. If even in a state of gratitude, it can feel really profound and really deep and really heavy to me. I don't know how else to say it. But when I write, it's using that left side of me, which is much more comfortable for me, which feels a little bit more, it feels a little less emotional, right? And emotional things are uncomfortable for me. So when I write about gratitude, I am so grateful that I now have, or that I now feel, or that I now experience. So we're trying to write it in that present tense form. We're trying to bring it to us in that moment right now. Does that make sense? I'm probably going on and on about that too much. Anyway, if you need help with your vision board, let me know. I'm more than happy. I love this stuff. I am super excited about it. Just a quick little reminder of our 3 announcements. Join us in the networking group, Strategic Business Network Group, every Wednesday, 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Eastern Daylight Time, whatever time of year it is, it's Eastern Time. You can join us in the Facebook group to find out more about that. Next retreat is Synchronistic Success. Make sure you save the date. That's October 14th, 15th. And so Friday and Saturday only. It's going to be a super quick retreat. We're going to have 7 speakers, 2 hours a piece. It's only 14 hours of information, but it's going to be awesome. And there is the smallest potential that it might be in person, or that some of it will be in person. It will definitely be hybrid if it is in person at all. Otherwise, it will be virtual. But we're going to try to push for getting in person, because I really want to hug you guys. All right. And then group coaching, if you want to know more about that, visit my website. You guys all know this stuff. If you found value in this, please leave a little review for me. And then thank you for joining me for the Feng Shui Your Vision Board. Yay!
Awesome.
Awesome. What do you guys have any questions, any other questions? Because I feel like that was a lot of good, solid questions. Thank you. Nope, we're good. Nothing on Facebook. All right,
No,
sweet.
we're all good.
And freaking tastic. Stop live stream. We're going to stop recording.